everyone, welcome back to your weekly Who review. This week we're reviewing episode 3 of series 11, Rosa, written by Mallory Blackman and Chris Chibnall. Now, this episode, such an amazing piece of work this episode is. It's so deep and so impactful, and probably one of the most important episodes we've had in Doctor Who in a long time. And not specifically Doctor Who story related, but as far as we need this as a moral compass. It's just one of those episodes that touches you, and people will probably rewatch over and over for years to come. Even if you aren't a fan of Doctor Who, I honestly believe that people would benefit from watching this episode. It's just so beautifully done that it's amazing. It's an amazing piece of work. And Mallory and Chris, thank you for writing such an episode like this. The TARDIS team, you did a wonderful job. Even the supporting cast did an amazing job, and how difficult it probably was for this supporting cast to portray things like the raw hatred and anger towards people that you don't feel that way about in real life. And I couldn't imagine what it would be like to be one of the actors or actresses in this episode trying to portray these characters when you don't believe or feel that way at all. But it was so important to have such a good supporting cast to bring the story to life. So everyone who worked on this episode, thank you overall. It was just a wonderful piece of work. Being someone who's from the US, I grew up in a very diverse area, and I have a multicultural family, and I didn't grow up with any of these things, but watching it, seeing where we've come from as a country, and reminded of the things that used to go on, it was very difficult to watch. It's hard to believe that maybe even if it wasn't myself or my family, that we as a country, we as a people had lived through this, that there are people out there who had thought this way, or there are people out there that had been treated this way, and they're still alive today. It's very, very hard to think about that wasn't very long ago. And though we've developed a significant amount since then, and we honestly do need to develop more, it was probably a really good reminder of what we don't ever want to go back to. I really love and enjoy the importance and the meaning of this episode. It was so hard to watch, but so wonderful to watch as well. And as a parent of a 7-year-old who loves Doctor Who, this was actually really difficult as well. My son he goes to school in a very diverse area. He has very diverse friends. He's never been brought up with any thoughts or ideas that anyone is different. So him watching this episode, because he loves Doctor Who, why wouldn't we want him to watch Doctor Who with us? He couldn't understand why everyone was being so angry and so mean for no reason. He saw Ryan just being a nice man, an upstanding, wonderful boy for picking up the glove and handing it to the woman, and being assaulted for such kindness. He was having a very difficult time watching this episode. And needless to say, we had some important family talks after watching Rosa. He didn't understand, and we had to kind of explain how things used to be and how to not be that way. And he understood, but it's just amazing to me how Doctor Who in general has always been something for my family. We have always watched together. We've cosplayed things together. We celebrate different things together, and it's always been a type of moral compass. The Doctor has always been the type of hero that you can look up to, and always does the right thing regardless of what's going on. Even if the Doctor is in danger themselves, the Doctor always does what's right. And for Doctor Who to spark such family conversations, meaningful and deep conversations, it's just amazing how much this episode, how much Doctor Who in general reaches out and touches people. Because eventually we would have had this conversation with our son. Eventually things would have come up. Eventually he would have been been exposed to something like that through school or through life. But it was important that we have those conversations and about things like this, that they do happen also, and not just that everyone is equal and treating everyone the same. So it was really important, this episode, to me and to us, because it sparked such a deep and meaningful family conversation. Now, I'm sorry, that was a huge tangent, because I'm a parent, and I'm not sure if everyone thinks of it that way, especially with younger children who love Doctor Who and love the Doctor. But it really does. It really is a huge moral compass to us all. And just, I'm gonna stop again. Everyone who worked on, or will work on Doctor Who, thank you for everything. You guys do a wonderful, wonderful job, and thank you for bringing such meaningful and morally compassed work to us, for us to watch and enjoy as a family. Going back to the episode, just Rosa was just a great episode. The TARDIS brought them to Montgomery because it saw the Atron trails, Atron, however you say it. It saw the time trails there, and it knew that they couldn't go back to Sheffield. Even after 14 attempts, Graham said that they weren't able to go back to Montgomery. They ended up in Sheffield. They ended up in Montgomery, and they found out that their whole purpose of being there was to protect history and protect Rosa Parks. And it was just a good episode. I'm just kind of fanboying over it. I know I'm babbling, but it was really just a good episode overall. The only things that I actually found difficult were Krasko, the villain, didn't seem very meaningful. He was kind of not a threat as much. Like, I think it lacked motive to me. It was very unclear. He just seemed like this a-hole who came from the future and didn't like equality. He just seemed like this future racist to me. I kind of have a different theory, and I'm hoping it's that theory, because if that's the case, it's very sad to think that humankind in the 55th century, I believe, is where Stormcage was developed, that in that amount of time, humanity has not been able to eliminate racism. It'd be very sad to think that people in the 55th century would still feel and think that way about someone else who is just another person living on Earth. My thought is that he's not human, and that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping he's an alien that doesn't like humans in general. That maybe we've gone out into space, and there was maybe as humans we colonized his planet or something like that. I don't know, but that seems more plausible to me than someone who's a racist in the 55th century. Because specifically when he's talking to Ryan, and he's like, he's going to stop her. He wants our kind to know its place. I'm hoping he means our kind as far as human beings, and he wasn't talking to Ryan as a different race. Which could be interpreted both ways, and I'm hoping that they did it that way because, one, the meaning of the episode, and two, that there's probably, I'm hoping, some plot development later on as far as overall new bad guys and new villains and new things that might be coming around. Time Lords look human. The two individuals from the Ghost Monument looked human. They were all aliens. There's a lot of humanoid-looking aliens out there, so I'm really hoping that Krasko is one of these humanoid-looking aliens, and not a human being from Earth. The whole episode was just great overall. I really enjoyed it. They did everything so well. The sets, the costumes. I thought the accents were really good. The whole thing that where at the end where Graham ended up being the individual who was standing on the bus that Rosa had to get up for, that hurt. Like I couldn't imagine being Graham in that situation and hearing his outcry saying that he didn't want to be a part of it because of course, he loved Grace, and his grandson Ryan is right there, and knowing that he is the one who made Rosa Parks stand up, was so painful and beautiful at the same time. And the reason I say it's beautiful because, like, I guess you could at the minimum think at least it was someone who cared for her that caused the change and caused her to protest, instead of someone who just didn't like her for who she was. It was so much harder to watch this. It was kind of like watching Fires of Pompeii with the 10th Doctor and Donna, where he realizes that it was him that eliminated Pompeii, that caused the volcano, and Donna was there and said that we were going to do this together. It was more emotional than that, just watching the look on Graham's face and having Ryan and Yaz realize that they were there when it happened, that they were on the bus, they were part of history, and the Doctor just apologizing, telling Graham that I'm sorry, it has to be this way, just to preserve human history and just to make us grow as a people, because that moment in time was so important to our human development that it needed to stay its course. That was wonderful. I love those pieces of Doctor Who. I love how things like that happen and come together, and just thank you. It's just an amazing job. One criticism I will say, I was kind of thrown off by the music when Rosa was asked to leave the bus. The song, the words were appropriate. It was a great song. It was just different for me, I think, as someone who's been with Doctor Who for quite some time, to see an actual song, like a soundtrack song, thrown into the episode during a meaningful moment like that. I kind of expected more of the horns and orchestra, but we got that song, and it kind of threw me off. There was nothing wrong with it. My son, actually, my 14-year-old son, really liked it. He thought it sounded like he thought it was like a movie, like it was so cinematic to him, and he really loved the idea of that whole scene with that music. So it worked. It connected to the younger audience, which is more important than connecting with someone like me who doesn't need this episode as much as the people who are still growing up in this world. So good job to them. I just, as myself, I was kind of thrown off by the music, but my son loved it. So we kind of had some conflicting input on that. But the scene overall, aside from the music, was just beautifully done and wonderfully written, and it's probably one of the greatest moments in Doctor Who for a long time. I teared up on it. I tear up now sometimes. Just thinking about the emotions that go into something like that, and it's kind of reminiscent of the emotion that you get in Vincent and the Doctor. Like, you get so connected with someone who's real. Like, there's more connection, I think, with historical figures than figures that they make up for the story, because it brings it to life. It makes it more real. It puts you in the moment, because things like this could happen and could actually be there. Even though it's science fiction, I think there's more of a connection when you throw members of history into episodes like this. So just it was really, really great. Other than that, I honestly really don't know what to say. There's a lot to cover. There's a lot that happened. This episode was just beautiful overall, and it again meant so much to my family, both watching the episode and after the fact, having those meaningful discussions. Like, this episode is just terrific, and I'm hoping that we get more things like this out of Doctor Who, because those are the things that make us love it so much. Anyway, I know I rambled on this time. There was just so much to cover and so much on my mind, and thank you guys for watching these reviews with us. If you like these reviews, please subscribe and hit those likes. Please just tell us your comments. Tell us the things that you like. Tell us the things you disliked. I know there's a lot that I didn't cover, but please leave your comments below. If you can, put them on the YouTube channel, because it's difficult to see everything across multiple platforms. I'll monitor the YouTube channel a lot more than some of the shared content. You don't always get to see everything in the multiple medias. But thank you guys. If you like, again, please subscribe, hit those likes, tap us on social media, go to templeofgeek.com. I really do enjoy doing these, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you, everyone.
Like this video? Go ahead and hit that like button, and while you're there, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos that are released by Temple of Geek. Also, head over to templeofgeek.com to find all sorts of content related to the world of geek.